Hello everyone, in this video we are going to be walking through how you can set up FastApi on AWS Lambda, and this is a pretty cool solution because it lets you use a serverless platform to run your APIs to deploy your source code to, so you don't have to worry about provisioning EC2 instances and load balancing and setting up auto-scaling groups and security groups. It's all baked in for you and it's pretty simple, especially with the use of Lambda function URLs that we'll be using in this video. So we'll get started. And so basically what I have here is a main.py script, and it's very basic. It just has two endpoints, a home and a search. And so far it's just GET requests, but you guys can build on this and fork this repo. I'll provide a link to GitHub in the comments or description. But basically this is what we're going to be working with here. And the reason why we are going to be needing to include this package called mangum is that when Lambda is running our Python script, it's going to need to know where the handler is. And so mangum allows us to give Lambda a handler that can still call all the different routes that the FastApi is providing for us in our application. So that's why it's necessary. And so basically, I'm going to clear out my terminal right here. What I'm going to do is run through the commands that I have in the readme.md file. And so the first one that we're doing right here is basically telling pip to download all of the external dependencies for our project and put them into a local directory. And so the reason why we need that is because Lambda, as great as it is, doesn't have all of the external dependencies that our service would need. So we need to include the FastApi module as well as the mangum module. And for your own services, you're going to have other dependencies that you're going to want to include in there. So you can just update it right here in one place, and then make sure that your zip artifact includes that. So basically, all we've done so far is download all of our dependencies to a little directory inside of our project. And then if we go to README again, we can see that we're going to want to zip all of these things into a single zip file. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to paste in this guy, and it's going to run through those commands. I'm going to collapse that. And now you can see that we have a lambda artifact.zip file included in our project directory. And then finally, what I'm going to be doing is running this last command in my terminal, and this is going to include the main.py script into our Lambda function zip artifact. So now if I open up a Finder window and I go to the repo right here, you can see I have a lambda artifact.zip file, and if we open this thing up, we can see that it's going to include all these things, including the main.py script. And so we're going to be uploading this to Lambda now. So I'm going to open up a Chrome window, and I'm already at the AWS homepage, and I'm going to go to Lambda. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on create a function, and I'm going to give this a basic name. I'll call this the FastApi demo. The runtime, I'm going to set this to Python 3.9. We're going to stick with the x86 architecture. And then I'm going to go to advanced settings right here, and I'm going to enable function URL, and this is going to let us make HTTPS requests to our Lambda function. I'm going to set auth type to none for the sake of keeping things simple, but if you were doing this in a production environment and you didn't want people unauthorized to be able to call this thing, then you would obviously go through that, which we can discuss later. If you needed your Lambda function to be able to talk to resources inside of this AWS account, like if you had a DynamoDB table or something else like that, you would want to enable VPC, but that's another rabbit hole that we're not going to go down right now. For the sake of simplicity, we're going to create this function right now and give it a moment. All right, so we just got our Lambda created called FastApi demo, and they're including this little boilerplate Lambda handler right here. We are not going to be doing that though. We're going to be clicking on upload, and then we're going to click this S3 file. We're going to click on upload, and then I'm going to go to my GitHub FastApi repo. You guys will clone this stuff, and then when you run those commands, you'll have this lambda artifact.zip file. So I'm going to click on open, and we're going to click on save. And so this is basically bringing in all the stuff that we were just looking at into here. The Lambda code browser doesn't let you see this stuff anymore, but that's okay. So basically what we have now is this function URL, and we've got all of our FastAPI source code put into our Lambda function. So in theory, you can click on this link. It's going to send a GET request through our browser, and you're going to see that we get this internal server error, and that's to be expected. So what I'm going to go is back to this Lambda function. We're going to go to that monitor tab, and I'm going to view the CloudWatch logs, and we're going to see why we got an internal service error. And I'm going to go to this log stream and make sure that we're looking at the most recent one. And you can see that it's telling us that it can't find the Lambda function module, and that's because we haven't updated our handler. So if we go back to our PyCharm, we're going to see here that in main.py, the handler is called handler, and Lambda is expecting it to be called Lambda handler, and it's also expecting a thing called Lambda function.py. So we have to update both of these, the Python script name, the file name, and as well as the actual handler inside of that file. So I'm going to go back to Chrome here. We're going to go back to our Lambda function. We're going to go to the code, and we're going to click on under runtime settings, edit, and we're going to set this to main dot and then handler, because that's what corresponds to our project. We're going to click on save. And now what we're going to do is we're going to click on this function URL again. And you can see that we are now receiving a response back from Lambda, which is running our FastAPI. And so it's returning the same exact code that we expected it to right here in our main.py, that message hello JSON. And then you can see that we can also do other things with this, like because this is a FastAPI app, if we go to /docs, it's going to give us a very nice UI for people to see the other endpoints that our service has. So this search endpoint, and then you can also do things like open up Postman, and we're going to copy this. And if I go here and paste this guy in, and I'm going to edit this guy, so give me 1 second. So I want to send a GET request to that. Just confirm here that we are getting the response that we expect to. And then we also have that search endpoint right here. So if I send that, you can tell me that it's complaining that I haven't supplied a URL parameter in here. So I'm going to do query gets ABC. We'll put that in again. So you can see that our Lambda function is now running all of our code successfully for FastAPI. So within not even a couple minutes, you have deployed your FastAPI app on AWS Lambda, and you're off to the races in terms of scaling up your service. So pretty cool stuff. I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you all for watching, and be well.